everybody, how are you? My name is Victoria Cherichetti, and I am the writer, producer, and director of Solarity, as well as the voice actor of Jaime. So this is just going to be like, I don't know, a little teaser, little info on Solarity, on the process of making it, why I made it, etc., etc., etc. I'm planning to release Solarity on a bi-weekly schedule, so 2 weeks from now, get excited, because I'm excited. I'm going to be releasing the first episode of Solarity on July 3rd. So I just want to give you guys some insight onto my process and everything like that. Why I decided to do Solarity. Basically, I wanted to be a voice actor. I used to ride the train going to school every day, and it would take an hour or more to get to my school. And so I'd listen to a podcast because I could download them, an audio drama specifically, to and from every single day. And I loved it. It had me in its grasp, enticed. I've always been a creative person. I'm actually a singer. And I was like, okay, I'm used to using my voice for, work and outside activities. I could be a good voice actor. And that was my thought process. And so I went out looking for a voice acting job on the same platform that everybody uses. And I found one. At this point, I was very inexperienced. My laptop was all I had. I didn't have a desktop or anything like that. I didn't have a good setup. I had an old microphone that sounded metallic whenever I spoke into it. But I somehow managed to get this job. And I was one of the main characters. So I go in, I'm working with this guy. It was a paid opportunity. It was a really good learning experience. But my laptop's fan was too loud. So every recording I did, you'd hear brrr in the background. And so I had to keep re-recording it. But the thing was, we did a live recording session. So to re-record something that had been listened to by the director and approved by the director, it's not really something that's feasible. So I got fired. Makes sense. Totally justified decision. And I was like, okay, I don't want that to happen again. I tried my hardest, but my setup and just outside influences were not allowing me to do the best quality I could. That company that fired me actually started a program for people creating podcasts. And that was the big reason why I even started writing a podcast. I saw that and I was like, hey, could I still work with you even though you guys, fired me? And they're like, yeah, no, totally. And I was like, okay, great. And so I kind of signed up for that program. And I started writing a podcast that wasn't this one at all. It was, I can't remember the name of it. I was writing with the intention of creating something I'd also be able to voice act in. Kind of like Lin-Manuel Miranda. It took the format of a person writing letters to their friend. So each episode was reading that letter that had been sent. And the person writing the letters was supposed to be this mysterious figure. Nobody really knows what's going on with them, except that they moved far away and something's spooky is going on. I've always been a fan of horror, psychological horror, so that was kind of my influence for that. And it was not good. It was not good. To put it lightly, it was not a good podcast. And I was so excitedly showing my drafts to the people in this program. Hey, look at this. Look how cool this is. And they were really nice. They were like, oh, it's really good. Keep up the good work, etc., etc. But at a certain point, I realized this is not good. I don't have a passion for this, nothing. It wasn't going the way I wanted it to go. And, maybe in the future, if I'm thinking about taking up that format again, I could definitely do it better. I have a lot more experience now working with Solarity. And maybe I'll do it, but it was just not good. So I scrapped the whole thing. And I was like, okay, what can I do that will be interesting? What can I write that'll be interesting? And I kind of just went pen to paper, digital paper, and just started typing out whatever was coming to my head. And it kind of just worked. It felt like I had made a fleshed out story. I didn't want to treat the listeners like they couldn't understand anything through context clues or anything like that. So I didn't want to spell things out for them. But I feel like I've laid enough information in all of the episodes that if you have a question, eventually it will be answered. If not in this season, the next season. I'm not going to leave any plot threads unanswered. I think it, like, I feel like it came together and it started making sense. It kind of felt like I was already in, like, a different world and that I was just writing down what I was seeing. There are a few characters I absolutely love, and, their voice actors also brought it, like, to the next level in terms of how I love these characters. One of them being Felix. That's just, I think overall, that is just my favorite character. I just love how I wrote Felix. It's just, it's all very exciting. I can't wait till you guys can, hear all the hard work all the voice actors did, all the hard work I did. I'm a one-woman team, so I wrote the entire podcast. I directed the entire podcast. I casted all the voice actors. Really, really appreciate them, by the way. I cannot overstate that enough. They are so talented. Like, I scheduled calls with them, and we'd record together. I sunk a lot of time into this. I really wanted to put out the best thing I could. No more inexperience. I wanted to build my own resume in the field and stuff like that. This is the first thing I've ever written and actually followed through with. First thing I've ever directed and actually followed through with. And the first thing I've ever produced and actually followed through with. So I really, really hope it lives up to everybody's standards. I'm trying to make the story feel grounded because I've always thought that the more realistic the approach to a storytelling, the more relatable it is. But yeah, overall, good product. I hope you guys like it. I'll do more of these in the future, just like a little insight into me, the podcast. But yeah, July 3rd, Solarity's coming out, and yeah, see ya.